Do this quick live video to share with you what I would call the key to success. You know, some of the books that I read are back here, although this is not my entire library. A lot of the books are still in storage, but the important ones are there, and I just wanted to share with you guys and gals this book that I've been reading this morning called Napoleon Hill's Greatest Speeches. And this incredible book was a gift to me by Don Green, who's the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And he basically autographed it and wrote me something, which is, for Bert, thanks for the interview, and I appreciate your support. The best in whatever you decide to do, Don Green. And so I wanted to take this opportunity before I go out for to meet with somebody. I wanted to share with you this incredible story that I read in this book. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you one of the books that I believe that nobody can read enough, and that's Think and Grow Rich. And this is one of my favorite copies. It's the 1937 version by Melvin Powers. It's a nice big book. It's got thick pages so you can highlight, and as you can see, I basically treat this book as my coloring book. You know, it's highlighted, there's notes, and everything is in here. And so this is my favorite book now because it's a compilation of all the speeches that Napoleon Hill ever gave. And so I'm trying to find, I should have highlighted it. I highlighted it, but I didn't mark it. This was recently published because the estate of his wife allowed a lot of these to be the speeches to be published, and Don Green grabbed them and of course published it. And one of the beautiful things about Don Green that I love him so much about is that every single dime that's generated by any of the works of Napoleon Hill are donated back to the foundation. And so in this book there's an incredible story, and the story is about one of Napoleon Hill's greatest students. And that's a gentleman by the name of W. Clement Stone. Now, some of you may not have heard of him unless you're in the insurance business. And W. Clement Stone, back at the turn of the century, like around 1908 or so, started an insurance agency with $100. And he was building his agency, and they were selling an accidental death and dismemberment policy that he called the Little Giant. And he developed a system for selling it based on cold calling, going door to door with businesses, not individuals, but to businesses, because businesses are open during the day and people aren't home all night. So it makes sense to go and knock on doors on businesses. And he sold these policies all day long. And by 1939, he had 1,000 salespeople in his organization, and he was just starting to make a good living. And the funny part is, he was down here in Florida on vacation with his wife and 3 children when he received a letter. And this letter was from one of the insurance companies that he represented. And this letter said that his contract with the company was being terminated for cause, which means because, and that he was being given 2 weeks' notice that he couldn't write insurance with them anymore. Now, his entire agency depended upon this particular policy to market. It was the cornerstone of his entire sales operation. He focused in on one specific policy. He came up with what he called the success system that never fails, and he taught it to his salespeople, and they just duplicated what he did. It shows you the power of definiteness of purpose, or single-mindedness. And so when Mr. Hill read this letter, he immediately told no one. He went into his bedroom, locked the door, and for 45 minutes, he prayed. And then during that prayer, he also gave gratitude. He was thankful that he had an incredible wife, 3 children, that he lived in the greatest country in the world, America, that he had his health, and all these things. So he filled his mind with gratitude first. First, he filled his mind with faith, then gratitude. And third, he decided that in every adversity, there is the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, and that he would find it. And he went to sleep. He didn't tell his wife, nothing. He just went to bed. That next morning, he woke up, and he decided that he was going to take action. And so he wrote down 4 resolutions. And you'll see the influence of Think and Grow Rich in a second. First, his first resolution is that he would not be fired. Now this is really critical that you understand that the first thing he did is he made a decision. And then he used definiteness of purpose. So he decided, number 1, that he would not be fired. Number 2, he realized that he didn't have assets enough to be able to sustain him and his organization. He had 1,000 people and families dependent upon his business. So he was in a very precarious position. So he made a decision in 1939. He took out a pad from his pocket and he wrote down that his goal in life is that by 1956, he would own the largest old line health and casualty insurance company in the world. That was his first goal. He wrote it down. His second goal is that by 1956, that he would have in his possession or a net worth of $10 million. And he shared those 2 goals with nobody. But he wrote it down and he signed his name. Put it back in his pocket. And the 4th resolution he made was that he would begin to take action immediately. And he got on the phone and he couldn't track down the guy. And eventually he drove to his office and he convinced the owner of the agency not to terminate his contract and to give him time to reposition himself. Because he wrote down what his definite purpose was now. He had a specific goal that by 1956 he would own the largest accident and health insurance company in the world and that he would have a net worth of $10 million. Well, an opportunity came along to buy a company called Combined Insurance Companies of America. And Mr. Stone was not ready yet. This wasn't right away. This was years later. Remember, 1939 to 1956. But he realized that this is what he wanted, and he had been focusing on it for how many years? 16 years. 1939 to 1956. Right? 17 years. And so every day he read this out loud to himself. Every day he focused on it multiple times a day. That he was going to have the largest insurance company of its kind, and he was going to have a net worth of $10 million, and he took action. But he stayed focused on it. And then every day he read this out loud to himself. And when the opportunity came to buy this insurance company, Combined Insurance Companies of America, he bought it. He didn't have the money. He figured out how to get it. And so by 1956, not only did he accomplish his goal of owning the largest insurance company, it wasn't the largest insurance company in the world. It was the largest insurance company of its kind. The largest insurance company selling accidental death and dismemberment policies of its kind. And he also achieved his goal of a $10 million net worth. Well, the story doesn't end there. He then set a goal to build his company to where his fortune was $600 million. Well, by 1978, Combined Insurance Companies of America were worth in excess of $1 billion. Now that started with a $100 investment and an incredible book called Think and Grow Rich. By the time Mr. Stone died, September of 2002, at the age of 100, which by the way, he set a goal, he wrote it down, signed it, and read it out loud every day, that he would live to age 100. And he lived, his birthday was April 4th, and he died September 3rd. Just 1 day short of 5 months of being 100 years old. And so, by the time he passed away in 2002, the Combined Insurance Companies of America that had been sold to the Pat Ryan Group, which became Aon Corporation, had a net worth of $2.56 billion. And Mr. Stone exceeded his net worth goal of $600 million because he donated alone $256 million to charity by the end of his life. And so the power is that he recognized, number one, he made a decision. He didn't allow a problem to overcome him. Okay, and sometimes we're faced with problems that just grip us by the throat. You know, it could be the end of a relationship. It could be a financial hardship. It could be losing your job. It could be that you're overweight. Whatever it is, immediately take these 4 steps, these steps that I shared with you, and apply them to your life. Number 1, go and be by yourself for a few minutes and pray for guidance. And if you don't believe in prayer, just meditate for guidance. It works the same way. Number 2 is think about what you're grateful for. There's so many things that we can all be grateful. We live in this incredible country. We've got more opulence and wealth than any other country on earth. 3rd, decide what you want. Look at the problem and decide what are going to be the 4 resolutions. And it could be 5, it could be 1. But I like the number 4. I don't know why. But pick 4 resolutions of what you want. Number 1, what are you going to do? Number 2, number 3. And then make sure that you write them down and that you read them out loud every day, these resolutions. The first one for him was to immediately, that he would not be fired. So he didn't have to, he wrote it down, but he didn't have to repeat that out loud. He just immediately wrote it down. He decided that by 1956, he would own the largest accident and health insurance company in the world. And number 3 was that he would have a personal net worth of $10 million. So he would never get caught again in a position where he had no capital in order to stay in business. And 4, that he would get into action. So the 2 steps are, he decided what he wanted, and both goals had a deadline of 1956. Today, make a resolution. Decide what it is you want in your life. That's one of the things in Think and Grow Rich. Decision. Make a decision. Stop looking for your lifetime purpose. Decide what you want. Now, Saturday I talked about a 5-year vision statement. Because I like working within 3 to 5 years and putting a vision out there like he did. He put a vision out there of owning this incredible company and having a net worth of $10 million. And then what I like to do is, besides having a 5-year vision of where I want to go, I want to have a 1-year goal that drives me. And that's what I read out loud. Well, it's memorized, so I say it out loud every day. And everybody in our mastermind group has a statement and they say it out loud every day. Because that's the most important thing. It's not enough to write it down. It's not enough to put a deadline on it. It's not enough to create a plan for it. It must be said out loud with emotion every single day of your life so that you begin to believe it. Because the answer, ladies and gentlemen, is that whatever you believe, whatever you conceive, you must first conceive the idea. His idea, 1956, largest company, 1956, $10 million. That's what he conceived. And then by auto-suggestion, by repetition of thought, he began to believe that it was possible. When the opportunity came along, he acted. So it's conceive, believe, and then achieve. And the people that don't accomplish anything in their life, it's because they don't believe it. And so I encourage you strongly, buy a copy of Think and Grow Rich. Read it, listen to it. Hey, if you want, help out the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Go purchase a copy of Napoleon Hill's Greatest Speeches. And you can read that speech and some other incredible speeches. It's really powerful stuff. It'll give you an insight. But understand this, that the secret in Think and Grow Rich is there. And that you need to apply it. And that is to decide today what it is you want. And then to begin affirming it every single day until you achieve it. And that's it. Hey, have an incredible Sunday. I hope that you all are enjoying yourselves and have recharged so that Monday you can hit it and go after your goals really hard. Hey, it was a pleasure chatting with you. I hope you enjoyed these quick tips and ideas, and I hope that I impacted you to make a decision, to make a resolution about what you want in life, whether it's to lose weight, to gain some kind of financial income, to have a better relationship, to just be more spiritual. I mean, just make a decision today. One decision. Hey, maybe you'll get lucky and you'll make 4. But I'll see you at the top. Bye-bye.